in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please welcome.
Welcome to the gayest podcast ever.
Hello and welcome to the gayest podcast ever. I'm Josh and I'm here with
Eric
and CJ.
Hello, boys. How are you?
It's spring again.
It's like 80 degrees today. I'm so excited.
I think last time we recorded, we're like, yay, it's spring. But then we had a little winter again, and now it's spring again. So
I don't know what that shit was about. Of course, it was opening day, so it had to be like 30 and snowing. And I'm like, what the hell?
That was the worst. That was April Fool's.
Yeah, it was April Fool's, and it was like Mother Nature got us good. Mm-hmm. I think Michigan had all 4 seasons in 48 hours. It was a good show.
And now we're going to get like all this rain, but whatever. April showers brings Mayflowers.
Yes.
My lawn is getting green again. That's good.
Yeah, Dan already has started his, I want to cut the lawn. And I'm like, no, we're not starting all that just yet. It's still the first week of April. Let's just settle down.
I renewed my lawn service today. I messaged the guy and was like, are you doing my lawn again this year? He's like, absolutely, we'll be there. And I'm like, something I don't have to do. Yay. I hate mowing the lawn. It's the worst.
That's going to be on Josh's The Honeydew list now. No, just kidding.
No, we had a very, very good arrangement that I make, and some days I regret it, but I do all the laundry and he has to take care of everything outside.
Well,
so,
it's just, if you just do it wrong, then they don't want you to do it ever again.
That's good. That's good.
I like laundry. Like, I can get laundry done.
I like towel laundry. Yeah, I don't like any other laundry.
I literally save the towels for last because I know by the end of laundry day, I was like, I need an easy fold. It needs to be towels. Like, if it is the load with socks and I have to pair them up, I'm just like, leave it for tomorrow.
Socks is
for goddamn laundry. I can't.
Well, also, I try to keep like the same brand of socks, so you're not like looking for them, mate. You're just putting them together, and so that helps a lot.
Spencer and I merged 2 households and it's a lot of different socks. So I don't know if that makes it easier or harder.
After 11 years, you'll get 1 pair of socks. Just one kind. It makes it easy.
I like that. But I guarantee you, come like one Saturday when he's like, we got all this yard work to do, I'll be like, hi, going to a patio to drink.
I got my calls.
So I tell Dan, I'm like, my idea of yard work is like going to Eastern Market and picking out flowers and having brunch at Vivio's. Like...
Yes, love that.
That's the lawn work I'm here for.
Love that.
Correct.
I would excel at that.
I like to be in a garden, not plant a garden.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love this journey for us.
Yes. All right. Well, I think we should just go ahead and kick it right off and get going. And I think, Eric, you're going to tell us about Mr. Cohen, one of our gay godfathers, like one of his newest adventures. Like 2
I know. Was that you that just sent me the interview? Was he interviewing Kelly Clarkson?
Kelly Clarkson was interviewing
him.
Oh, about the Justin to Kelly movie. And she was like, Andy, I didn't want to do it.
Yeah. Andy was on Kelly Clarkson. And I wanted to be known on the podcast that Eric brought up Kelly Clarkson before CJ or I did. So it was not us that brought Kelly into the podcast today.
Times are a-changing.
I'm sure you'll end it with her. Well, anyways, yes. So his new show started on E! The story of reality TV. And there's only been like 2 episodes. I think it's like going to just be like a mini series where he's just kind of interviewing people all over. So he brought like the 4 original people from the real world, the first 4 people to walk in the New York loft. Was how he kicked it off and how that really kicked off reality TV. So it kind of talks into what CJ talked about like last week. But, you know.
So who were the 4? What? Just because I'm curious. Eric, Becky, Julie, and...
He's bisexual.
Norm.
Yes.
He's from Michigan.
Yeah.
I have a question. So it's on E! now? Did he give up his Bravo?
No. This is just like a mini series I think he's doing for E! Just something, because, you know, like the Kardashians were on it. Like he went to Khloe's house and like interviewed them. And, you know, he was talking to them and Khloe had mentioned how, you know, producers had told them like, don't get comfortable. They were just a filler for the Lohans. Because something came up with the Lohans and they couldn't go through with it because of stuff that was going on. But
There's
they
a
thought they
spider
were gonna-
flying around my head, by the way.
Stuff going on. Lindsay Lohan. Oh,
So they had to they may bring the Lohans back. It was the plan, but like the Kardashians obviously took off and, was just TV gold. But, they were talking about did you guys ever watch the reality show? It was in 2007, Kid Nation. Where they
never heard
took all
of
these
it.
kids away from their parents. And these parents basically had to sign waivers that they would not sue if their child died or got an STD or anything. And all these parents did it. And
Kris Kardashian was like, bye-bye.
And it was
John
pretty much
Hancock.
the book of the Lord of the Flies, they have to build their own little town and cook for themselves. And
Wait,
So this
yes.
was Survivor.
This was like a
kids?
Western thing, right?
Yeah.
Like a Western. Yes, I have watched it.
yes. And the two girls talked about their experience, and then they were like, yeah, we were basically an adult for a whole summer, and they sold it as it was going to be a summer camp, and it was not a summer camp. And then we went back, and we had our teacher yelling at us to sit down at our desk, and we basically lived as adults for the past 3 months.
Yeah, because they had come up with a constitution and
Oh yeah, it was
people
Lord of the Flies. I was waiting for them to drop a rock on somebody.
yeah, there was a sheriff and all these governing bodies. It was interesting.
But they talked about how Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie on The Simple Life, and it was just kind of boring. So then finally, when they started having these lives, and they were just production had to tell them they had to be super elaborate. So it was just talking about how if production plays a larger role in reality TV with giving storylines and things like that. With Big Brother, the very first season, they mentioned that they let the public vote who was allowed to leave. And they were basically just picking all the people who were rude or starting drama. So it was basically the last 4 weeks was them just staring at people because nobody was doing anything.
I'm so glad you brought up the Big Brother, because Steve and I just watched the very first episode of Big Brother because it was on Paramount Plus. That was the biggest shit show I've ever seen in my life. It was an apartment. It had a drop ceiling and cheap appliances.
Is that the season with George where he becomes the chicken, the big guy?
Chicken George.
And they actually were outside because someone flew a plane over with a banner that told them hey, P.S. so-and-so was in cahoots with so-and-so. And I was
it was a freestanding building. It was on the lot, but it wasn't attached to the studios. Julie Chen was letting them in the house literally from outside the house, outside with a crowd, and they were all hugging their fans and everything. There was a co-host. I was like, this is
Oh yeah,
season 1 American Idol bad. This is bad.
They asked Meredith to do it, and she passed. So that's how Julie got into it.
Meredith Vieira?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, Julie Chen was also married to the head of production.
Munoz.
But they just
Munoz.
talked about this, that was their job. And when reality TV really took off, that was literally people's job was to come up with the most extreme reality shows. Fear Factor and, The Challenge and all these ones, Top Chef. All these shows have started because of basically the real world.
Yeah. Project Runway.
The Survivor's kind of dark. They were showing a couple clips, they interviewed that Richard guy. And, on his season, I think her name was Sue.
By the way.
Sue did not, she told the one lady she would not give her a sip of water if she was dying of thirst in the desert. And I was like,
To Jenna.
And then,
She's I don't care if you're on the side of the road. I'd watch you die. It's
this Zeke guy got outed as transgender and then got sent home. I was like, that was crazy. And then they did the one guy was talking about, I think it was season 13, where they did different tribes, but it was based on your race. They had a Hispanic tribe and a Caucasian tribe and an African American tribe and an Asian, and a Latino tribe. It was insane. And the guy's like, oh yeah, right now we just the biggest dumbasses that were ever on reality TV.
They also did a class season 2 where you were lower, middle, and upper class.
What? You were separated by your financial status?
Yes, there was a blue collar. There was an executive level.
So it was Apprentice did that too, though. If you were street smart or if you went to Ivy League.
Oh,
school.
college.
Yeah. But, we don't have to talk about him. I was trying not to bring up his TV show. But it was great. Like, the one part that had me cracking up was when he was talking to the New York people. Eric Nies was talking about how he did drugs when they were on the real world. And the one girl goes, "You were doing drugs in the house?" And he goes, "No, I had already gotten busted for drugs. You know how I said I was going to like volunteer and help those kids in like a different city?" He's like, "That was like my probation. I had to."
Community service.
Yeah. And now he does spiritual journey. He takes people into the desert and does mushroom journeys with you. And it's supposed to be spiritual and healing. And I was just
all natural.
I
mean, his body is still.
Oh, yeah. He asked Andy, he goes, "Are you going to ask me to take off your shirt or my shirt?" And Andy was like, "I was thinking about it."
So, Eric, is this an ongoing TV show where he just sits down with different reality?
Yeah, I think
TV
it's just him diving into how reality TV became such a thing. And he's just sitting with all these different people. Like, I'm curious to see how many episodes it is. It's probably like 6 or 8. I doubt it's going to be anything crazy.
Yeah, because remember like 20 years ago, everyone thought the reality TV was a fad. And it's been around for 20 years. It's such a staple.
And now everybody is trying to get on reality TV. It was so funny when people, like, it starts to fade and how they start to freak out. So that's when you see the sex tapes come out.
Or they just like recycle these people over and over again. That's where like the real world reunions come in and the challenges and like just keep Big Brother All-Stars, just bring them all back. Because
your buddy Josh was on there. Josh and Fessy were both on there. They were talking about their time
Crier
with Big Brother.
Josh?
Yes, from Big Brother. And now he's on the challenge.
Hated Crier Josh. Didn't he win?
Oh, I just watched, Steve and I had to watch the Challenge All-Stars because we're like, we'll watch for Katie. And like, she was barely in that first episode. But
we haven't watched that. I totally forgot. Thanks, CJ. You just gave me something to watch. How exciting.
Wednesdays on MTV or whatever.
So did you say Andy's got 2 shows coming out or just this one?
Oh, if we're going to get into Bravo and all the shows that are coming back, that's a whole different day. Do you know how much they each made for the real world when they went on? They were there for 6.5 weeks.
Oh, they made money?
They made $2,600.
I was going to say like 4,000.
But in 1992, like that was.
But that's why a lot of them also went out and still did their jobs. Like, and Becky on the Homecoming just said that, we still had to go out and do our jobs. And Eric was like, I didn't spend a lot of time in the house because I was afraid I was missing out on gigs. He was like, So anytime he didn't see me, well, I guess he was doing community service too, but he was like, I was making sure that I was there to get gigs because I didn't want to miss out on anything.
Well, it was funny because they interviewed one of the housewives and they were talking about like, do the kids, when they appear on the show, the little kids and stuff, do you guys get money for them or whatever? And the housewife was like, no. And they're like, because like the Kardashian, like Mason and all them, they all get like some sort of paycheck for appearing on that show. And I was like, that's because the Kardashians have every detail of their contracts lined up. Like
Chris, just writing the rules over there.
Just momagers, all that shit.
Well, and Eric, I heard something. Are the Kardashians just moving to Hulu?
I don't know. There's supposed to be a new show. Nothing's been released about it. With Kim and Kanye.
Chloe said something about Hulu, and I was like,
it's been announced they're going to Hulu for something, but there's no real details. But like Chloe and Tristan are getting back together, and now Courtney's dating Travis Barker. Kim and Kanye are getting divorced. Who knows? It's like a whole new grown-up thing. Kendall doesn't have a baby yet, so there's that storyline still.
She's the supermodel, right?
Yeah.
So didn't Kim just like officially become a billionaire like today or yesterday?
She did, and they all got golf clubs from Kris Jenner for Easter. All of her kids.
Please, don't go to those. I saw that. I was,
it was her first dig at Kanye because it said Kim Kardashian. She took the West right off that bag.
Oh,
yep.
I didn't notice that.
I sure did. I was like, okay.
Lovely. Oh.
But that's what's going on with Andy's world. I mean, just keeping his thing going.
Keeping it real.
Yeah,
keeping it real.
Sounds good. Well, I'm out of a drink, so let's take a quick break and we come back and we'll jump over into CJ's topic, okay? Okay.
It's going to be simply the best.
I love the way that you talk.
And we're back, and we refilled our little drinky drinks, and I'm gonna turn it over to CJ, who tells us, what's drinks got to do with it.
Well, thank God for these streaming services that get us through our lives, our quarantine, whatever. But on HBO Max on March 27th, a documentary called Tina was released. And it's all about our favorite pair of legs in the industry, Miss Tina Turner.
Tina Burner?
Josh, you watched it, correct? Not Tina Burner. Not a drag
I couldn't
race
resist it.
contestant.
I couldn't resist it.
You're simply the best.
Yes.
So you watched it.
Yes, I'm a big Tina Turner fan. And actually, before it aired, I made Spencer watch with me the 1991, 1992 movie, What's Love Got to Do with It? Starring the one and only, 93, the one and only Angela Bassett as Tina Turner.
I literally said that all day on Sunday. I was walking around going, Namyoho Renge Kyo.
Look at you. Yes. So Spencer
my brother
watched,
is like, what does that mean? I'm like, it's calm energy. Just chant it.
Yeah, chanting. Yeah. So I made Spencer watch that, and then we watched the Tina Turner documentary last week or whenever it came out, a couple days after. But yes.
And Eric, you haven't watched it yet?
No, I haven't watched it. I'm sure Chad will make us watch it this weekend.
Right. So I know producer Chad's watched it. I highly recommend it. So this is her story, but it's not just like a documentary per se. It's more of her saying, I'm going to clear the air one last time, and then that is it. And then I'm done. I'm moving on with my life. You probably won't see me again.
Yeah, I think for sure, she'll never tour again. I think it was a huge goodbye. And Chad or TJ, do you know how old she is?
I don't. Well, I can get it real quick. She is 81.
Live in Switzerland
81.
or something?
Yes, she lives in Switzerland.
So she's 81, and she also is battling something, right? Doesn't she have cancer now?
I think so.
I think she's got.
It's the first time that I've really been like, oh, Tina looks old.
Yes, 100% agree with that. Because when I seen her performing it, when they did the Kennedy Center honors and stuff like that, she's phenomenal.
Well, in the height of her career, she was 40s and 50s, even 60s. Girl was a late bloomer, so to say. And that's how this documentary is broken. It is broken into 5 parts. And the first part is all about her and Ike. And she just gets out of the way. This is how we met. This is how our relationship formed. This is how our business arrangement came to be. It explains that he just said, hey, because her name, I didn't know this. Her name was Anna Mae Bullock. That's what she was born as. And so
Yep.
Yeah, and he said, no, you're going to be Tina Turner.
He didn't even tell. He fucking just all of a sudden she's like, who's Ike and Tina Turner in the review or whatever, and he's like, that's you're Tina now, and she's like,
congratulations.
Okay.
So it talks about how they got together, and at first it was strictly business. She was just a singer, and then they started a romantic relationship, and obviously things turned sour from there after kids were involved and everything. But that was part 1. Part 2 was more of her building strength. It explained her learning Buddhism and discovering that whole thing. And that's where all their little chanting and stuff came from. But there was the majority of the documentary was her basically calling out the media and saying, you did me wrong. You could not get over the fact that I was Tina Turner by myself. You kept bringing back Ike and every little thing. And I think that's basically what the whole documentary was. It was a big fuck you to the media. I found this interesting on BuzzFeed today, and it's 14. I'm not going to go through them all, but it's 14 things that the media just screwed up on when it came to Tina Turner. I will share it, so maybe we can share it to social media. But literally every time she went on a talk show, every time she went on, talked to a magazine, they brought up Ike. And she finally just got to the point where guys, I'm not talking about Ike anymore. I'm not going to do it. I've lived there. I've done this. And
right, it's been 20 years. Get over it. I don't even remember anymore.
Right. They were married for 16 years, and her career.
Well,
She's been dead since like the 90s too.
But
No.
her career didn't start till after they were divorced, honestly.
well, and like the other thing too is like now you found out even after she thought, because at one point in the 80s, she's like, I'm going to write the book. And the movie starring Angela Bassett's based off the book. So she's like, I'm going to write this tell-all book. So that way y'all will quit asking me.
Right.
Here is everything you need to know. And then it just infused it more.
And it really did feel like the more she gave them, the more people wanted and asked more. And she was like, I've already told you this answer. I've already given it to you.
Yeah. And the thing that I don't think that a lot of people, especially I think now we're more cognizant of it than we were back. Cause like we've seen this come out now about like the Britney documentary about how the media failed her, about how a lot of the Meghan Markle, a lot of these different women, how the media's portrayed them and angled them. But I think it's super crazy that like it's also she was being physically and verbally and business abused by this man, and everyone just tell us about it. Tell us, let's gab. And it's like, this is a trauma, and you're just every time you were like that wound healed, they slice it open.
Yeah, as much strength as it took her to finally be able to leave that one day, and her telling that story was fascinating. But like she never really got away from Ike. Ike was always there, like not physically, but always at least mentally. And like she tried to commit suicide, and she was very depressed, and she talked about her depression a lot. And it's just crazy that the media
Didn't one of their sons commit suicide?
I don't know. Craig has passed, one of her sons.
Okay, I don't remember if it was a suicide or not. And
I didn't realize. So she's technically has 4 sons. The first 2 are not hers.
No, that was his first wife.
The third one she had with a different guy,
saxophone player.
The saxophone player, and then the youngest is the one she had with Ike. So she only has one with Ike, but the other ones, clearly are, her children. That's how she views them. But it's just
the middle
insane.
one. I think the middle one was interviewed in the documentary.
Yes, there was
footage of him, and he might be the one who actually has passed now. But like he was very vocal. I didn't like Ike. I didn't like this. I heard them fighting. I went to the room, and like. It was the day that like Ike threw coffee on her and burned her. Just the most fascinating story. And she kept trying to move forward and build her career and build her own name. And that was the one thing that she wanted, was that name. And that was the best part. And that's
such a good part. It's in the movie. She's like, he can have everything. I want my name. I work too damn hard for it. Too damn hard.
But then you see that a lot with celebrities. They just constantly tear and pick. Like I think that was part of it with Whitney Houston. Like they just could not let the Bobby Brown thing go. Like let it go. They've been divorced. He's remarried. Like who cares? But I mean, and that's another thing. Didn't she remarried like a much younger man too? Didn't she?
He was 30 when they met. She was in her 50s. I think she just had her 50th birthday.
Yeah.
I believe he's Swedish.
That's why they moved there. Yeah. Well, good for her. I mean,
and they worked together for 26 years.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. They met in the 80s, early 90s, and were together for 20 plus years and then got married.
It was really cute because in the interview, like she goes, honey, how long were we together before we got married? And you hear his little voice in the background. She's like 26 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's just like, I'm so happy that she's found peace with it all because man, she had her mama gave her up. Yeah. Her mom just left her with her grandmother because mom was.
Her entire story was so heartfelt. And I guess I knew these things like just from the movie and other things. But like, I don't know if I forgot or I just really didn't realize by putting it all together just how much like her life was not good. And she's very open. And she'll even say, I don't want to talk about this horrible, embarrassing life that I've had.
That's probably why she moved so damn far away and just moved to the middle again.
The Swiss Alps. No one can ask me.
But her biggest comeback after her and Ike, she performed in Vegas for a number of years, and like cabarets couldn't even perform these songs that she was famous for at the time because Ike owned them all. Like he owned the Proud Marys and these and that's, and she couldn't perform. So she's like doing cover songs, and she's doing everything she can to just make money because when she divorced, she said, "All I want's my name." So her first big hit was "What's Love Got to Do with It?" that came out in '84, and she was 44 years old. 44.
Good for her, though.
No one wanted to sign her because of her age, and they're like, "Who? It's this has been like she's not going to amount to anything." But finally, someone did, and then of course the movie came out in '93, starring Angela Bassett, who was also interviewed in the documentary. And
Angela Bassett like played every little iconic character back in the day.
Well, Angela Bassett said, I am who I am because of this movie. Like, I think it was like really her first big, like, dramatic.
It escalated her to a whole nother echelon because she was nominated, and it really gave her, I think Angela said, my career would not be where it was if not for that movie and that story, being able to tell it like that, which was super, super cool. And Angela Bassett, like especially after we watched the documentary, we were like, oh my God, she nailed her mannerisms. The way she moved her mouth, her shoulders, she nailed it. She embodied it. It's so cool to watch the transformation.
So girl got ripped her in that movie too. Like she was so defined.
And she stayed ripped.
I absolutely agree. If Angela Bassett came at me down the alley, I'm running the other way. I would lose that fight.
Didn't she play the mom in the Jackson 5 like movie that was on
Catherine?
I mean, some iconic roles.
Come
on.
Yes, she did. I mean, that whole, Waiting to Exhale, burn down the car.
I didn't realize this though when I guess they were at the Cannes Films Festival, and a reporter asked Tina why she hadn't seen the movie yet, and Tina's like, I don't want to relive that. I don't want to see that violence. Like I lived that. Like, but do you think? And I'm sure in some ways the movie was a over dramatization of Vet, or do you think maybe it was an under dramatization? Ike claims that it was not that bad, but this is Ike who is the abuser. Of course, he's going to say it wasn't that bad.
If you think about the world of rock and roll, like in the 60s and 70s, and you're touring with all those people, and you're heavily into drugs, and there's all these girls and booze around.
It was a hard watch. I remember the first time I watched it, I was a kid. And even then, like, I didn't quite comprehend it, but it was still a hard watch.
Spencer literally said to me, he's like, you watched this as a kid? And I was like, yeah, me and Tiffany watched it on VH1, Movies That Rock Us, lived for
it. It's a tough one, but I mean,
I will say in that movie, like one of the big parts is the whole, like when she finally flees Ike and she leaves him at the hotel and she runs across the highway.
Radisson, when she goes to the Radisson. Yeah.
And Tina, in the documentary, Tina talks about that night, and it is very true to the movie. It made me tear up a little bit because I was like, I was hoping that was a dramatization because that movie portrays it so crazy, and the way Tina describes it is exactly the same.
And that's again where the media failed us, because even Oprah asked, did you ever repay the hotel? Tina's like, of course I repaid the hotel. I repaid everybody. She was like, why is this that relevant? Question?
Why is this relevant? I made it out alive.
We're focusing on the wrong things here.
God.
Yeah. And I think that if you're a smart reporter, if you're a smart interviewer, you'll start changing the dialogue to asking questions to people for them to open up, and then give them those open-ended questions for them to give what they feel comfortable sharing. And if they feel comfortable, and if you're able to provide this safe spot for them to feel like they can tell you what they want to tell you, then that's appropriate. I feel like, I feel so many interviewers and journalists want that soundbite. They want that soundbite.
They want that money shot. Yeah. So, I mean, to wrap up, it's a fantastic documentary. It's about 2 hours long, so it has got a little bit of time to it. But unlike the Britney one, which I think the Britney one still gave us a lot of behind the scenes and aspects that we didn't know, Tina was involved in this one. She was very involved. She's on camera. I think it was recorded in 1919, right or 1919.
Yeah.
1919, 2019.
2019.
What year is it? Oh my
Yes,
God.
that sounds right.
Right before the pandemic, because the last shot was her like showing up on Broadway for Tina the musical, and she says in the documentary, "This is my goodbye to America. This musical and this documentary, you'll probably never hear from me again, America-wise. Like I'm going back to Switzerland, and that's where she's going to be. And I hope that." She lives out the rest of her life happy and well. And I'm glad she finally found love. That was a big aspect. Several times during the documentary at Old Footage, she would say, when am I going to find love? When am I going to find it? Like, don't I deserve this?
Apparently, love has everything to do with it.
It does have everything to do with it. And she's, again, simply the best.
Simply the best.
Simply the best.
Yep.
Simply the best. Awesome. All right. We're going to take a quick break, refill our cups, and we come back. We're going to talk about ABC's number one drama.
Still.
Still.
I love the way that you talk.
And we're back. And guys, what I want to talk about, welcome to my TED Talk, is about the 17th season of Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy. It's just going to stay on forever.
Grey's Anatomy is perfect.
I like it. I'm here for it. I'm gonna float that one out to ABC. Season 17, we've had over 300 episodes, 17 seasons. So far in this season, 10 have aired, and it has been a roller coaster of emotions. So first, I want to talk about, I have a couple different things I want to. First is they tackle COVID-19. And if you listen to our podcast from a year ago, we very much say that we don't want to watch shows that bring COVID into our lives. We're over it. TV should be an escape. But I do feel that Grey's it's a medical show. You got to do it. You got to tackle it. And everyone's wearing a face mask so you can film it.
I love how every doctor at this hospital has died, but not one of them has died from COVID.
We've not lost a doctor yet to COVID. We've not lost a doctor yet to COVID.
Yes.
Well, they are not killing Meredith. Everyone knows about the dream sequences.
We've had a lot of cases.
The past 12 weeks.
So 10 have aired, so 10 weeks.
I will say that as much as as excited that I was that, okay, they're tackling it, like they can deal with it. Now that we, like in the real world, we've progressed a little bit more. Like every time I go back and watch Grey's, I'm like, I feel like they're not caught up to us yet. Like
I know, CJ, I think that's a perfect point. And so I think a lot of their filming did get halted due to COVID concerns in California. Yeah. So I feel you're absolutely correct. Because they're still on Grey's Anatomy, and they're still saying like, "Oh, when there's a vaccine." And I was like, "We got a vaccine. We got 3 of them. I'm already inoculated 1 time. Like, come on." But so the big thing is clearly the biggest thing that's been is the return of some of the biggest series regulars. In episode 2, well, and for those of you who aren't watching. Grey's, like I said, been 17 seasons. This season is the last one of Ellen Pompeo's contract. So Ellen Pompeo, who plays Dr. Meredith Grey, this is the last one of her contract.
So maybe she will die.
Correct. So
she's been in hospital bed since episode 1.
And the other thing that has just been so frustrating for both the showrunners and the fans is that ABC has not given any decision yet on whether or not it's going to be renewed or not. So Krista Viernoff, who is the showrunner, because Shonda Rhimes left Grey's Anatomy to run Scandal, and then she gave up complete control when she got her Netflix deal in 2017. So Shonda doesn't have any real say over Grey's Anatomy anymore. Krista Viernoff took over that 2017. But Krista said that she's prepared the last episode of this season to serve as both a season finale and a series finale, which I think would be so devastating to give us 17 years of a show and then not a proper send-off. But neither here nor there. We'll tackle that when the time comes.
Oh my God.
Give us 20 years. Go ahead and give us 20.
And the only reason why I would say, yes, it's time to say goodbye is because a show has run out of storylines. It's become stale. But this is where the show did well is Shonda was stale with it. So she passed the baton to Krista Virnoff. Krista Virnoff has worked on Shameless. She did 5 seasons of Shameless. She did Charmed back in the day. She's been working on Grey's Anatomy on and off for a long time. So, and she was the one that came up with the word seriously.
Right.
You know how seriously? Shonda said that Krista always said that in the writer's room. And so she worked it into the script.
It's starting to land into that ER territory where, like,
I was just going to say that.
We don't have any of the original cast anymore, just about, and like these are all new people. Whereas with new people, you can have those new storylines, but I don't know that some of the
Derek's dead though, right?
Right.
Like this isn't like a dream thing. They're not going to pull like a Roseanne at the end and be like she wakes up or she dies or something. And she's like, oh, this was all just a dream. Derek's been alive the whole time.
3 originals, right?
I think that would be seriously a disservice to the show if they pulled one of those.
Or she's got Alzheimer's and she can't.
I can't handle Alzheimer's storylines.
Oh yeah, we're giving him anxiety right now.
I can't. So you're right. We're down to 3 originals. It's Gray Meredith, Dr. Miranda Bailey, and Dr. Richard Rubber. Those are the last 3. Everyone else came on in later seasons in life. But so in the end of the 2nd episode of this season, all of a sudden, fucking McDreamy, there he is. And Patrick Dempsey has said multiple times he would not come back. He would never do it. He was done with that. And
well, he was probably at home bored out of his goddamn mind.
Then all of a sudden there he is.
Well, I think the storyline is a little easier to do. He's not having to go back into the hospital and like deal with all this.
Yeah. Come hang out on a beach and film for a day. Okay.
Right. So we had not seen Dr. Derek since season 11. So we hadn't seen him in 6 years.
Wow. That doesn't seem that long ago.
And then, so Meredith's on this. So Meredith got COVID. She's in this coma, in and out of consciousness. So the next person on this beach is Dr. George O'Malley.
Love
George.
TR Knight, a little gay. We had not seen him since season 5.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Season 5.
He got hit by that bus, girl.
Yeah, he got hit by that bus, 007.
He might have jumped ship a little early.
And then the very last episode that just aired, we saw Lexi Gray and Mark Sloan.
She did it via green screen, though. That was a little disappointing, I heard.
So you have to watch it. And I will say this. She's filming in Vancouver. Yep. They did it in the best.
Because of Supergirl?
COVID,
yep.
Supergirl,
yeah,
Canada.
Yeah.
You can't cross the border. All that stuff. They did it, and I don't think I would have known had they not told us.
I didn't know, so I watched it and I didn't.
Okay,
know, so.
They did it. I don't think it was disappointing. I think it was done super clever. They shot it in certain angles and made it seem like she was there.
Can you tell me, are Mark and Lexi together in heaven?
Yes.
Yes.
Did they get it to work out?
They did. And we hadn't seen them since the season 8 finale. Lexi died. And then the season 9 premiere, Mark Sloan dies. So they both were casualties of that plane crash. Thanks, Doctor.
A little more gray now, but
yeah, still looks good. Lexi looks great. And then, so coming up later this season, we know April Kepner is going to return Sarah Drew, but she's alive in the Grey universe. So she won't be on the beach, I don't think. I think she'll be in the real world.
That's another storyline that annoyed me. When they broke her and Avery up, I was like, oh, and now I found out she's back with Matthew. I'm like, I'm so annoyed.
Do you think they're going to bring Christina back? Because they've had her name mentioned. She's texting.
I heard episode 8.
Bitch, we're on 10. I've said we're on 10 twice. You're not even paying it. You're not even trying to be a bad.
Episode 14. I meant 14.
Just because I just said season 14, because that's the last time we saw April Kepner. I can't with you. But no, so my friend Callie, who works out for NBC Universal, clearly she's not affiliated with ABC or anything like that. But she said to me at the beginning of this year, she was like, they're going to do a guest star run of everyone that we have lost. she goes, the last one we'll see is going to be Christina Yang. So I could see it. We know she was in Pittsburgh. She's filming that stuff. That's currently because she just attended one of the Stop Asian Hate rallies in Pittsburgh. So we know that we know Sandra Oh is in the States. And I'm sure they're filming all that in California. So I don't know. Could they've already filmed it? These are things I'm on the hunt for.
You got to send the plane if you want me. No, you're going to send the plane.
Well, I mean, she has a great show going on, Killing Eve, which if you've not watched that, please do.
I've heard nothing but good things about this show. I was actually thinking of giving it a try. Yeah, I think, though, it might be time to wrap up Grey's. I mean, it's had a good run, but everything that has ever happened in the world has happened at that hospital. Like, just quit.
Well, first of all, I think my entire adult life, Grey's Anatomy, has been on TV. Like,
so
yeah, it premiered in like 2005. 2005.
It was. Yeah. I remember watching it my freshman year in my dorm, and so I've been watching it since I was 22, which is insane. And like it just to me, like, and I'll be the first to admit I stopped for 2 or 3 years. There were some bad years. There were some real bad years. But then they came back. They brought in new faces. They had that guy come and shoot up the hospital, and he killed off half of the stars.
That episode gave me such anxiety.
It was perfect. It needed to happen. That's what. Anytime a TV show's got too many series regulars, bring in a gunman. Kill off half of them.
But seriously, it reminds me of like The Sopranos. Like, don't get attached to a character because they're not going to stick around, or they're going to die, or they're leaving the show.
Yeah,
we had a kind of a surprise death this season. Like,
I did not see that coming.
I didn't see it come until it happened.
Yeah, Dr. DeLuca, who is Giacomo Giannotti. I probably butchered that Italian name.
Poor Grey.
Giacomo.
Grey, she's just not. If she falls in love with somebody, you're done.
Yeah,
they're probably gonna kill her. She's gonna.
It would just be so sad.
Zola and Ellis.
It would just be so sad to leave those kids orphans. Like, come on.
Right. Well, they do have like 28 sisters. Like, there's sisters everywhere.
Yeah. Every time that's all their new characters is a Meredith's sister from somewhere. Like, every time they need a new character.
They didn't have a brother. Why didn't they have a brother? They're all sisters.
Well, that's why I thought they were going to have 5 more seasons. They still have brought on Derek's other 4 sisters. Come on.
Right.
We have met them over the years, to be fair. But yeah, so I'm
regular cast.
You're right. Amelia's the first one to become a series regular. And I will say
practice.
So.
And that she hopped Shonda shows. She went over to private practice, then came back.
Right.
Yeah, I would love to see. So guest stars we haven't seen. I would love to see. Clearly, Sandra Oh is number 1 on top of my list, but she's not dead. So I don't know if she can be at the beach. But Dr. Weber and Dr. Bailey were at the beach at one point. So who the fuck knows about this damn beach? But I would love to see Sandra Oh. I'd love to see Kate Walsh. Would love to see Kate Walsh come back because I didn't watch Private Practice.
I didn't either. I mean, I watched it occasionally.
Oh, yeah. I didn't watch that one. I'm not a big fan of the spinoffs. We were talking about this on the break. I don't watch the Station 19. And there's very hot gay guys.
Yeah. Stop trying with
the guy, right? The guy from Mean Girls, Your Hair Looks Sexy, Pushback. Aaron Samuels, he's a firefighter on there now. He's dead, but he comes back all the time. I can't.
Oh, my God. I can't anymore.
Yeah. So I'm just... it's by far probably easily my number 1 favorite show of all time. I can't wait to go back and watch it all. But yeah, I just don't know what I'll do if it's off.
Well, Thursday nights we'll have to fill in that gap somehow.
Yeah, no, I'm sure
it's going to be summer soon. It's going to be summer soon.
Well,
we'll be doing happy hours on Thursday nights.
Well, and let's be honest, my favorite thing to do is to record it on Thursday night, try and avoid the spoilers the best I can on Friday, and then Saturday morning have my cup of coffee, my Grey's Anatomy.
Same. Saturday morning is one of my favorite times to watch TV. Love it. Like, let's do it.
Oh, no, I'm baking Saturday mornings.
Oh, girl, you can bring that by. Drop me off a muffin with that mimosa.
I'll bring you some scones.
Me too.
Yeah. All right.
I'm more likely to drive to Eric's than I am to yours. So.
let's just go ahead if you boys are ready. I think we want to bring back a little tradition that we haven't done in a year, right?
I've missed it so much.
That we haven't done.
We got really depressed and didn't feel we're marrying anybody.
Yeah.
You know what? We're starting to get vaccinated now. We can start thinking about fucking marrying and killing people.
So if Shonda Rhimes can do it, so can we.
We can.
And so what we thought we'd do is a very special edition of Fuck, Marry, Kill coming back based off the Grey's Anatomy men. We're going to do McSteamy, who is Eric Dane, Mr. Mark Sloan. We're going to do McDreamy, Patrick Dempsey, Derek Shepherd. And then we're going to do Dr. Avery, who is Jesse Williams, who is just got those most beautiful blue eyes and, dark skin.
And I will say, like, this was a hard choice for us.
I have literally
get that
over here.
When we were trying to figure out like the three, like I think McDreamy, McSteamy were like a number one, but like we threw out a bunch of other names. Like,
I mean, there's Alex, there's Owen, there's a couple of them.
I mean, we've gone anywhere. I mean,
yeah. Oh, I have mine. Want me to go first?
Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Oh, if you're ready, go. Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it till just now, even though I came up with the names earlier, but it just hit me really, really good. So I'm going to fuck McSteamy. I'm going to ride Mark Sloan into the hot sauna steam. Drop your towel, baby. I'm going to kill McDreamy, and I'm marrying Dr. Avery.
Whoa!
I know. Plot twist. Jesse Williams.
Shonda. You're worse than
Jesse
Shonda.
Williams.
I second that completely. I literally wrote that same thing. Yep.
Okay.
Derek was a little whiny for me. And he always Meredith's right. He always thought his career was more important than hers. Like, he just always thought he was a little.
You're the son, Meredith. All right, CT, what you got?
I mean, I've been thinking about this all day. I think I can agree with McSteamy for sure. Like, that's a good.
Everybody was fucking McSteamy from the second he walked out in that towel on that very first episode.
I mean, Jackson Avery has those eyes that I could just look into every day.
He defined daddy. Like, when he played the gay guy in the Valentine's Day movie with Bradley Cooper, I was like, oh, I'd watch that one.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Oh, I was like, that is one.
That was McSteamy, not Jackson Avery. But yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you guys. I almost married Derek Shepherd, but he's got
great hair. And I love great hair. Great hair. He's kind of thin. He's kind of a rail.
But also, Dr. Avery Jackson.
He got money too.
He got money. So
I mean, they're all plastic surgeon, brain surgeon, plastic surgeon. I mean,
I did love that when in this last episode, when one of the patients asked Catherine Fox, like, "Are you the best?" She goes, "I write the paycheck." So I was like, yes.
Yeah, Debbie Allen has been a beautiful gift to Grey's Anatomy in the later seasons too. But yeah, that's our podcast. So send me lots of thoughts and prayers that Grey's Anatomy gets the ending it deserves or renewed for another season. I need that from you listeners.
When that breaking news comes, I am going to not share that in the podcast.
I got a bottle on ice just in case it goes either way. But yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We can't believe we've been recording remotely for a year. We can't wait to get back in the studio and do so much more fun things with you all and get out and just, really, really live our best lives. But in the meantime, the best way to say that you love the podcast is to rate, review, subscribe, share with a friend, share with a family member. We love you all so much. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, bye.
Bye.